I am Yenfay of Chonsin. That is all you need to know. We all walk our own paths. Do not try to stray into mine.
It took 12 long months, but we finally have an outstanding Grand Hero Battle unit for 2021. It hasn't been all bad, but it's certainly been a disappointing year for sure, especially compared to some of the Tempest units we've had. To kick off Book 6, Yenfay is our newest Grand Hero Battle unit. He's a sword infantry unit, but he has some exceptional qualities, including one of the most absurd weapons you'll find on a free-to-play unit. First off, for stats, Yenfay has 43 HP, 37 attack, 42 speed, 32 defense, and 28 resistance. 42 base speed is just incredible, even with all the 40 plus speed banner units that come out these days, and he will also have a speed super boon. That will be very relevant to keep in mind. Yenfay has some nice looking stats, but it is his Carnage Amatsu that is truly ridiculous. It's a 16-might weapon that grants a flat +3 speed, and it has distant counter. Yenfay can counterattack regardless of foe's range. Additionally, if Yenfay is not adjacent to an ally and he has more speed than the enemy, reduce damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by percentage equal to difference between stats times 4, max of 40%. This is basically dodge, but only if Yenfay is alone. That is completely fine as a requirement though, because it's combined with distant counter of all things. Carnage Amatsu is literally a weapon you would find on a 5-star banner unit. Many units have been combining distant counter with dodge B skills, and a free-to-play unit with 42 base speed comes with that combo on his weapon. I know it's exciting to get heroic growth units with unique weapons, but this is above and beyond what anyone should expect. 2 premium abilities, and you don't even need to meet any gimmicky conditions besides being solo, which is not the most insane requirement. Carnage Amatsu is just stupidly good, and it's hard to believe it's going on a free unit. For the rest of Yenfay's base kit, he could have literally came with nothing else, Masked Mart style, but he's going to bring some interesting skills. Astra is just kind of there because he's a sword master, but it's not a very commonly used special in Fey unless it has the word Regno in front of it. For his A skill, Yenfay will have Kestrel Stance 2, which grants +4 attack and speed when the enemy initiates combat. For a very long time, Kestrel Stance was kind of a meme A skill since enemy phase units generally wanted more defense or res for tanking, and it was only on one unit for years. That changed with the introduction of dodge skills, and Seri brought Kestrel Stance 3 with her. Because dodge turns speed into a tank stat now, Kestrel Stance becomes much more viable, especially when you have distant counters such as Seri, Legendary Ryoma, and now Yenfay. The tier 2 version isn't that amazing, but it's perfectly fine with Carnage Amatsu and lets you inherit the tier 3 version from Seri while letting you grab her close call dodge skill. For his C skill though, Yenfay is going to come with threats and attack and defense 2. This is admittedly not a very useful skill unless the enemies are right next to you, but it does let you get attack and defense bonus easier. We already have this skill on Fernand and Petrine though, so not exactly a huge deal. Overall, Yenfay is a busted free unit thanks to Carnage Amatsu and his nice stat spread. You can keep Kestrel Stance 2 if you're on a budget. In terms of merging, if you keep the neutral nature, Yenfay is going to get +1 HP, attack, and speed. Not bad, but it's really hard to ignore that speed super boon when the man has dodge on his weapon. Carnage Amatsu grants +3 speed as well, so a regular non-merged Yenfay already has 45 speed. With the speed super boon, that's going to go up to 49, and add +10 merges for a stupid 53 flat. Good lord, I am expecting a lot of +10 Yenfays in the future for sure. To be honest, making comparisons for Yenfay just feels unfair because of Carnage Amatsu. It's disgusting that the weapon also comes with an amazing stat spread to use it. Still, the most recent infantry sword heroic grow units have all been pretty good in terms of uniqueness. Nemesis gets damage reduction and attack and defense, but has a very strange last gimmicky condition of requiring near full HP allies. Itsuki's Mirage Falchion is effective against dragons and has the Blade Session and Shield Session mechanics for bonus attack and defense. Both Nemesis and Itsuki though have pretty respective defensive stats, mainly the higher res stat for a sword user. As for Astrum, he had decent attack and speed, and his Mercurius is a super simple +4 buff for himself and physical allies. I think each of these units are examples of good Grand Hero battle units, not game breaking, but they either had solid stats or unique weapons that filled a niche for themselves. Yenfay easily meets both of those conditions for sure, but despite the hype he deserves, I would not say he's game breaking. He simply offers things you would expect to find on a 5-star symbol unit. Here are some extra heroic rail sword infantry users. I tried to find the fastest ones around, and as you can clearly see, Yenfay just outclasses everyone if you want to go fast. He has good base attack, and his defense and res are fine for his distant counter weapon. I was also going to pull up 3 to 4 star units, but there are literally so few that get demoted. After book 2, it was literally only Soleil who got demoted, and she was on the first book 2 banner. There's also Sylvia, but she's a dancer. There are a crap ton of 5-star sword infantry units, but really not a lot of free-to-play friendly ones that are up to date, especially if you're looking for a fast unit. Yenfay is truly going to be a great boon for any newer players and just about for anyone who wants a more modern sword infantry unit. In terms of playstyle, Yenfay should be looking to stack a ton of speed to abuse dodge to his damage reduction. By nature, distant counter weapons are just more defensive, but Yenfay can do some damage on the player phase through sheer good attack and speed stats. Casual stance is alright for enemy phase stats, and while you can double up with the Sacred Seal version, since you must be alone anyway, attack and speed solo 3 is superior. It's also going to work on the player phase. While you can keep threat attack and defense too, I would change it out. Yenfay can find self-buffing skills like attack and speed ult from Ninja Shamir or rouse speed and defense from Ferdinand. Ults can be tricky since Yenfay wants to be alone, but you could get away with it. For alternatives aid skills, Mirio has brought us attack and speed ideal 3, and it can proc via your self-buffing skills. Attack and speed solo would be the best, but it's not exactly a budget skill just yet. If you're okay losing some speed, then Yenfay could fit Flashing Blade into his build. Extra cooldown reduction is always good, and you can help proc higher cooldown specials like Luna or Aether. It could go in the A slot via Summer Ogre since attack and speed solo as a seal is usable by anyone. For B skills, if you're looking for budget skills, you can really try out anything. Carnage Amatsu is just so ridiculous by itself. You could go with the classic Vantage plus distant counter, or you could use Desperation for cheap player base power. Wrath is an interesting option, and it's on some heroic rail units. It can give Yenfay a bit more oomph on his special procs, and it could also help him charge a special for clutch situations. I think for most people building Yenfay, they're going to go for the extra mile, and that's certainly going to be a good time. Carnage Amatsu having dodge built in means you can also run no follow-up 3, and that pairing is incredibly good against slower units. They can't abuse free follow-up attacks, they can't block Yenfay's doubles, and they just do 40% less damage. With distant counter, you can fight ranged foes, and honestly this triple threat of abilities is very similar to Ryoma and his Raigento Refine. If you want mixed phase usage, then double attack and speed solo skills and a route C skill can provide their bust for initiations or defending. For more enemy phase power, you could use Casual Stance 3, but typically you don't need guard if you have no follow-up to block follow-up attacks. It can be useful for Yenfay if he gets outsped, but that is generally going to end badly anyway since Carnage Amatsu does very little against other speedy units. That is one of its weaknesses. Yenfay just isn't going to be as strong of a dueler if he cannot abuse dodge, and against melee foes, distant counter is irrelevant anyway. The sword masters without DC on their weapons will have more applicable effects. Now, something strange, perhaps gimmicky to use, is a second dodge skill. You can stack damage reduction, but it's multiplicative. If you have the max speed difference of 40%, with 2 dodge skills you can get 64% damage reduction. It's probably not worth chasing after, especially since no follow-up is very powerful, but I could maybe see a use case if you really want to stack more damage reduction on top of that. For example, you could add Flame or Niffles 30% damage reduction, and at max power, you can hit around 75% damage reduction. 40% to 75% is noticeable, but you could also screw yourself over if you run into damage reduction nullification. That brings me to the second weakness of Yenfay, which is the ever-growing list of units who can cancel damage reduction skills. The other top heroic rail unit from this year is Young Innis, whose bow has built-in damage reduction nullification. He can also pre-charge Ruptured Sky via Time's Pulse, and I'm pretty sure he's going to destroy Yenfay with that one arrow. We also got lethality for dagger units recently, and Deta has been out for archers. We even had Flavia on the current banner, but she could probably just match Yenfay's speed regardless. Now, Yenfay will be a great free-to-play unit guaranteed, but there have been a lot of countermeasures to flat out ignore damage reduction, and speed tends to get power creeped fairly often. With all of that said, should you 5-star Yenfay? Hell yeah. For a free-to-play heroic rail sword infantry unit, he comes with tip-top stats. 42 base speed plus super boon is amazing, and his defenses are balanced out to go with his weapon. Speaking of which, Carnage Amatsu is ridiculous for a free unit. Distant counter is one thing considering we had distant counter weapons on the year 1 Grand Hero battle units, but combining it with dodge on a super fast unit is really dang good. The only thing you need to worry about is the solo activation condition. As for Yenfay's base kit, he does have some nice things for skill inheritance. Kestrel Stance 2 has been super rare, and while the tier 2 version is not super crazy, it can let you use Seri to get Kestrel Stance 3 and Close Call. You can even give Yenfay those skills, but stacking damage reduction has diminishing returns. As for Threats and Attack and Defense 2, it's not the most reliable C skill unless you are completely surrounded, but it is the prerequisite for Attack and Defense Menace, which is going to continue to be a very popular C skill. Overall, Yenfay is way beyond what I would consider a decent free unit. He's going to be a top tier merge project simply because distant counter is very fun and damage reduction is very strong too. Having both with an open B slot is really beneficial, although the most common B skill will probably be no follow up. As mentioned, Ryoma with his Raijinto Refine can already put together this combo, and Legendary Ryoma literally does just that with his Bushido 2, so Yenfay isn't exactly treading on new ground. However, he's doing it as a free heroic route unit, and with current gen stats, he sets a strong foundation to work with. You can experiment with other builds like stacking more defense and res, running steady breath and special spiral, or even just running another weapon like the ninja katanas. I think everyone should keep Yenfay around, and even if you aren't going to merge him up, I think a simple plus or a simple 5-star copy would be nice to have. He is for sure one of the best Grand Hero bad units we've ever gotten, and while he may not rewrite the meta or anything, he gives players the chance to mess around with some very fun skills without needing to go and summon a 5-star only unit. I'm extremely pleased with Yenfay myself, although I am a bit worried we may have already used all our Grand Hero battle luck for 2022 before we even get to the new year. Hopefully the developers give us more decent candidates, but I would not expect another Yenfay type unit very soon. Feel free to share your own thoughts and builds for Yenfay in the comments. Between him, Ash, and Mario, everyone has gotten some decent free units to try out. For next time, we're going to be covering the Ephemera 12 common manuals, so I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon.